How big a deal is that for BlackRock? And this was for you a big switch as well, because you were a naysayer for a very, very long time.
Yeah, I probably switched. For the first 3 years of thinking about it, I was a naysayer, and about 2 years ago, I switched. And I'm actually, as I said in the last 2 years, I'm a big believer.
Are you a believer personally? Meaning, is the Fink family a Bitcoin buyer or a buyer of this new ETF?
Well, now I could do that. I cannot, I don't want to compete with our clients, so I don't buy single assets. I'll buy mutual funds. I'll buy single ETFs. So I have an opportunity to do that now. But I'm a believer in it because I do believe it is an alternative source for wealth holding. I don't believe it's ever going to be a currency. I believe it's an asset class.
You don't believe it ever becomes a currency?
No, I think we're going to create digital currencies. We're going to use the technology for it. We're going to use the blockchain.
How important is that, though, to then the long-term value proposition
of Bitcoin?
Of Bitcoin, if it's not something that ultimately becomes a currency, if it's simply, we'll call it digital gold, it's an asset of some sort.
Executive who just says, look, we're going to get our expenses right. We're firing 20,000 people. On Wall Street, we love that. I don't know how we became so rapacious. We're vicious capitalists. But what we say to ourselves is, boy, they are really about to do what we want. They're about to get the earnings right. JP Morgan doesn't have to do that. They're already right.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And guys, we have Larry Fink says he was a naysayer but now believes. And we know it's the Hegelian dialectic from the beginning, because the whole time they were telling us that Bitcoin was a fraud, they were buying it. And we have Jim Cramer on Citi, says that Layoffs, Wall Street loves it. And guys, he definitely should be fired for saying something like that on television. But now, since you have a sleeping nation, you can get away with saying anything. He said a lot of comments on air that he would have never been able to get away with in the 80s and 90s. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, don't forget I'm an old man. Now we have Gary Gensler still talking bad about crypto. Still has nothing positive to say, like we can't pull up all those MIT videos. Even called the central banks a monopoly. You have no chance of replacing the current monetary system, but they will take your technology. And we're seeing that in crypto. And we know all assets are going to be tokenized and put on blockchain. And then, guys, we have Wells Fargo on automation. And, of course, what comes with automation, guys? Layoffs. They're going to be laying off thousands. Citigroup, 20,000. Guys, every single day, I'm putting it in the Patrons, layoffs just keep coming and coming. And I told you in 2024 it's going to step up, and it's just going to keep getting worse. And guys, these are good jobs. These are not minimum wage, guys. These are career jobs. And these people are getting laid off. And you're not going to get laid off and find another great job like that. It's not going to happen. And hopefully the sheep wake up. And we have Steve on the Fed cutting rates. And guys, we know inflation is still sticky. And we know it's all controlled by corporate greed. And not only does the Treasury have to finance, but we have plenty of businesses that are going to have to refinance. And guys, that's the reason why we're hearing the drums are beating. Don't forget Janet Yellen and Steve Mnuchin had an opportunity to push all this debt out 50 years. Guys, we're paying over $1 trillion just in interest. So remember, guys, this was all a plan. You're in a simulation. They want the robots, algorithms, and drones to take over the economy and the sheep to go inside the metaverse. And remember, the Crypto Teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Central monopolist with another central monopolist. A lot of commercial banks aren't terribly excited about that. Maybe you're going to have to give some ownership. Maybe you'll have to give 50% of your ownership to the 20 banks that are now part of this. I mean, there are other ways to build incentive systems. Maybe you put a native token in there, and you give them the native token. So there may be other incentive ways to beat the current monopolist. But I, having been around commercial banks for a long time, they really are looking for ways to replace their aggregators in their back office, whether it's clearing, settlement, exchanges, credit agencies. But they are deeply understanding, because they are pretty ambitious and very good at making money as well. They deeply understand that every idea that's pitched to them is somebody who currently is small but wants to get big and gain market power. So they're also always thinking about how to ensure that there's a check to slow down your startup from gaining market power 5, 10, and 15 years from now. They don't want you to be the next clearinghouse like the Chicago Mercantile Exchange or Intercontinental Exchange. They don't want you to be the next central node of market power. So you might share some of that with them, or you might find an incentive system.
This has been considered for a long time. As you know, starting under Chair Clayton, we had disapproved a number of these over the years, and something had changed. I'm a deep believer in the rule of law and a respect for the courts, and taking a new court decision into consideration, we move forward. I think this is the most sustainable path forward. Bitcoin itself, we did not approve, we do not endorse. This is a product called an exchange-traded product, a way that investors can invest in that underlying non-security commodity called Bitcoin. But yes, investors, I think, should be aware that the underlying asset is a highly speculative, volatile asset, and amongst its use cases is really for illicit activity, money laundering and sanctions and ransomware and the like. And I know that you've asked other people over the last few days, is it being used as a store of value? It's a speculative, volatile store of value. Is it being used as a payment anywhere? Are we buying cups of coffee with it? Not really. The only payment mechanism it's being used for, in a primary sense, is illicit activity.
Somehow come under fire from the SEC or some other agency?
Look, let me talk about this field more broadly, and the American public is aware of this. It's rife with conflicts. It's rife with fraud and abuse. Without prejudging any one token, many of these tokens, I would suggest a majority of these tokens are actually securities under the securities law. And so the platforms, the various places that you might buy or sell these crypto security tokens need to come into compliance with the federal laws.
What did you make of what Elizabeth Warren, who was very supportive of you taking this role originally, coming out and saying the SEC is wrong on the law and wrong on the policy?
I have deep respect for those who may have been on the other side of this. But again, I've got deep respect for the law and how courts interpret the law. We had the D.C. Circuit, a three-judge panel rule on this. We looked at it, and I thought this was the most sustainable path forward.
How do you think about other cryptocurrencies? People are now talking about whether there should be an Ethereum ETF and the like. Is that something you think you would take on proactively? Is that something that ultimately, in the same way that Grayscale had to go to court, does the court decision around Bitcoin to you act as a precedent on other currencies?
I look at what we did this week as it's cabined to one non-security commodity called Bitcoin, like we've had gold, spot, exchange-traded products, and silver exchange-traded products in the past and approved in the past. This is cabined just to that one non-security commodity token.
Bitcoin and Ethereum are proof of concept for the coming tokenization of all assets. When that happens, I don't know how many zeros you want to add to your crypto portfolio, but it's just the reality that you will have been first, because when you buy a tokenized Apple share, when you buy a tokenized US Treasury, the forerunner for that will have been Bitcoin and then Ethereum.
You do this, it's not just about cost savings. It's actually, you automate processes, you make the service better for customers, you deliver more things to them in the channels they want to receive them, and in these days, more and more digital. And so I think it does have a very positive impact on client experience as we do it, and we also can get more efficient from a spend perspective.
Yeah, I mean, part of that, you were asked on a media call about layoffs, which is part of the process, and I'm wondering if you can give any more color or specificity on what kind of numbers you're looking at for this year as far as layoffs, and what types of positions and where.
Yeah, no. As I said on the call, there's no real part of the company that's impacted more than others, and it's just something that gradually happens as you drive the automation and you drive the efficiency across the place, and we try to make sure that we're very thoughtful and empathetic about how we deal with the impact that has on people as we go. And we'll see how that progresses through the year.
What is the incentive for the Fed to cut in March if the economy's doing well, employment is fine, inflation is okay but still maybe a little above the target range of 2%? What's the real incentive?
I think that's a good question. I think, Tyler, there is a window for the Fed to pivot and get this right, rather than remain too restrictive for too long. Mm-hmm. I think you're right that there is some momentum to the economy that gives the Fed some time here, but there's a whole lot of loans out there and refinancings in corporate America that are going to be coming due, and companies are going to be laying off people, shutting down, otherwise having to sell if they have to refinance into the highest possible rates. The Fed has an opportunity to offer some relief to the economy. Think about it. If you consider that there's a long-run funds rate of 2.5 and the Fed is at 5.38 or 5.40, it is very restrictive right now. So there is room for the Fed to offer some relief and secure that soft landing, because that's not a given either.
AI is taking over Las Vegas. Intel, Meta, Qualcomm, and even Mercedes-Benz showing off their latest AI offerings at CES 2024. Julia Borston is live from Las Vegas with the latest on all these new gadgets. Julia.
Well, Melissa, this year's Consumer Electronics Show is all about AI, with chatbots, new AI chips, seemingly for every type of possible gadget. Now, Samsung has been showcasing its AI companion robot called Bali, which interacts with other smart devices in your house and can project pictures or videos on your walls. Can even check in on your pets when you're out of the house by sending pictures of them to you. Samsung's new AI fridge tells you what's inside, the expiration dates, and suggests recipes based on what you have. It even lets you order the ingredients right from the refrigerator that you don't have. Now, this year, there are more AI-enabled cars and tractors than ever, with Intel just last night announcing a new AI chip customized just for vehicles, as it battles with NVIDIA and AMD to power the Internet of Things. Meanwhile, Mercedes is showcasing its in-car operating system to eventually offer directions and restaurant recommendations with what they say is empathy for the mood of the driver. And L'Oreal this year became the first beauty company to have its CEO keynote at CES, demoing an AI-powered beauty advisor and virtual makeup try-on tool. Now, while there are new giant transparent TVs and foldable phones, Melissa, this year it's the AI tools that seem really different.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust, and we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is, it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Sonali Basak. Sonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a Treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 Kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the fourth industrial revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.